Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, September 4th, 2025. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, Adam Ross of Twin Span Brewing shares 3 beers that are light and fast, light in character and quick to produce. He'll share some tips on how we can follow his lead at home. If you want to support us financially, check out patreon.com/basicbrewing, and many thanks to everybody who's helping out in that way. If you go to patreon.com/basicbrewing, you can see a long list of stuff that you can access if you sign up as a supporter. Financial supporters have already seen the video that I'm planning to release to the public on Friday. It's the one about my Japanese-inspired lager that I brewed with leftovers from the rice polishing process, sake rice. I also flavored it with some yuzu extract and ginger tincture. It's a pretty tasty beer. Financial supporters also got to see a behind-the-scenes video of how that came together and the recipe for the beer as well. I'm pondering what to brew next. Fall is going to be on us very quickly around here. I'm recording this episode a little ahead of time, but already the weather is turning cooler, which is what I like. I'm thinking maybe a 15-minute saison brewed with extract. It's been a long time since I've done one of those. Those are very quick and very fun and also delicious. Cooler weather into fall also means it's hop harvest season, and our friends and sponsors at Imperial Yeast are celebrating the hop harvest with a seasonal release. L48 Alpha is the ideal strain for creating crisp, hop-forward beers. It offers a clean, crisp fermentation profile, which allows the nuanced flavors and aromas of freshly harvested hops to come right through. Alpha is a great choice for cold IPAs and West Coast Pilsners. Just think hop-forward refreshment with a lighter, more subtle body. Ask your local homebrew shop about L48 Alpha from Imperial Yeast. And as always, you can check them out at, you can check out all the dependable deliciousness at imperialyeast.com. That's imperialyeast.com. Okay, let's taste some light and delicious beers from Adam at Twinspan. Adam Ross, welcome back to Basic Brewing Radio.
Always a pleasure, James.
From Twinspan Brewing up in Bettendorf, Iowa, and everything that we're going to be drinking tonight comes from your facility, right?
That is correct.
Now, you sent us a 6-pack, and wait, let me introduce the other folks while we're Scott Housel down in Florida. Welcome back.
Hi, James. Thanks for having me on your show.
And Chris Colby, author of the Homebrewers Recipe Bible, Methods of Modern Homebrewing and How to Brew Hard Seltzer. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Sure. I'm thirsty. I'm really thirsty. For various reasons, I have been on a beer fast for the past 2 weeks. So this might be a fun evening.
Welcome back, James. One of those.
We've got 6 beers to try, and the idea is to divide them up into 2 flights, 2 shows. The first is sort of a lighter, faster, and easier. Is that where we're going with this one, Adam?
Easier to drink, at least.
So we're doing 2 flights, and this one is going to be kind of the warm-up flight. What is the beer that we're gonna start out with tonight?
Yeah, we're starting with the beer I called Betterdorf. So, give you the story on that while y'all are pouring it. We are in the city of Bettendorf, and in the metro area, it kind of has a reputation as being affluent, I guess. And so it has earned itself the nickname of Betterdorf. And I was very excited when I realized no one had... we've got 3-4 breweries in Bettendorf. I should know that, 4. No one has named a beer Betterdorf yet. So the name existed, and it just needed to find a beer. And the inspiration for this beer is, and I'm not going to name names. Scott showed me he has a can of it in his possession. It is one of the super light lagers that may have given American beer a bit of a negative reputation overseas. It's the Monty Python joke of sex in a canoe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just close to water.
Yeah. We're-
And it's funny for me. So this is it's our we're now into our sixth year of being open at Twins Fan, and the reason I got into home brewing in the first place, I'll keep the story short, but I was in college and I had discovered craft beer. I was on like my third craft beer that I drank, and I became the worst kind of beer snob, telling all my friends that they don't know what is good beer and they don't know what they're talking about. And one of them said, "Shut up, Adam! Like you can make something better." And honestly, I that got me into like this little angry Google search tirade, and I started buying equipment and said I would prove him wrong. And years later, I said, I probably should get around to brewing more or less a clone or a homage to that beer that I was trash talking that my friend was drinking. And
So your career is driven by spite.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
So many things in my life. So many things, not just my career.
Well, what I've poured here is very, very light in color, a very, very light straw color. It's effervescent. I've taken one sip. And
Clear, too.
It's yes, clear, and it doesn't smell like a whole lot, but it might smell a little of corn in a good way. Not, I mean, if it's a pilsner, a bit of DMS is allowable, but it's certainly not offensive.
Yeah, I get a little, not so much anymore. There was quite a bit of sulfur early on, and then by the time we packaged it, that was all was left was just a little whiff of it. Probably you might have missed it if you didn't sniff right away when you opened. And then I do get a little bit of just a hint of apple.
Huh.
Trying to remember. I'll have to taste the other sample to compare. But no, it's tasty. The head disappeared right away. I don't know if that's my fault, but or maybe it's hard to keep a head on this kind of beer.
Mine did too.
It's tasty though. It tastes fresh. Tastes like what it's supposed to taste like. It's yeah, clean. Definitely didn't get sulfur.
Yeah, the first and only time I ever bought this beer, I was doing an homage to because this beer always just shows up at parties and people hand them to me. I've never had to buy the beer. Was me buying it at the gas station on the corner from the brewery, so I could take it to my little lab and do gravity test, pH, do like a proper taste comparison. Um, and I kind of already knew that these beers, although a lot of people like to dump on them, they're actually take quite a bit of skill to make. There's a lot going on here that I didn't really think of until I sat down and tried it side by side with another beer. There is quite a lot of mouthfeel for what's in it.
Yeah, it's not watery at all.
No.
So I'll run through how I did it real quick. It is by far the least expensive beer that I've ever made at Twins Fan. It is half the cost of my previous least expensive beer. um, so I honestly love that this has been selling really well. And it is just American Pilsner malt with a little bit of um, Iowa grown flaked corn, but a lot of bit of corn sugar, which maybe
Huh.
that corn was grown in Iowa. I don't know. It is lager yeast. It is for 500 gallons of this, 2 ounces of bittering hops. And then I did throw a pound of a really low alpha acid American Noble hop from Yakima Valley. I don't even know if that made a difference. Probably if I do this again, I'll up that Whirlpool edition a little bit. And then the water profile was very, I think it was a yellow full. It was the term from the water spreadsheet to get it just really, and I upped that even more. Like I upped the calcium chloride, and then lager yeast, fermented hot, under pressure. And hot enough that I actually was transferring this to the Bright tank on day 5. It hit terminal gravity in under 48 hours. And then I transferred it on day 5, and we were canning it on like day 7 or 8. Oh yeah, the other thing in here, I added the starting gravity is like 1028. I added that enzyme to really dry it out. So it finishes incredibly dry.
So what's the ABV?
4.1. If you were to get the calculated carbs and calories, it is actually the same as the beer I did in Homage 2 here. If any of us are counting calories in our beer.
Well, that's amazing. And what was the terminal gravity?
Oh, it was 0.998 or something. 997.
Oh, wow. Well, that's amazing because, like I said before, it's not watery. You would think that something that dry would be, sort of thin and unsatisfying, but that's not this at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very, very well brewed. The cliche is there's nowhere to hide in a beer like this. If you made a mistake, if you didn't do you didn't do a traditional diacetyl rest because you did brew under pressure, and
I brewed hot like this lager yeast. I want to say I got into the 70s.
Huh.
Wow.
I was born in the 70s.
I'm leaving out some minor details. I don't want to give away all the secrets.
So Chris, we haven't heard what you think of the beer itself.
I'm not getting any Fruit Loops in it.
That's last time?
Is that a problem?
That was last time.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
That and Matt Giovannissi's grandmother's ashtray.
Yeah.
Now, I have to apologize, Adam, to you and Scott that you missed out on the hop sampler. You guys were gallivanting around, and we'll talk about that a bit if you want to.
Matt Giovannissi smelled one of the hop samples, and he said, "It smells like Fruit Loops." And then when James read the description that the hop producer said of the Fruit Loops was on there, and we were like, "Oh, wow!"
That ruined us. We were done.
Yeah, that's actually I've done some sensory training courses with other instructors, and one of the hop oils is described as, I think it's linalool, maybe geraniol, or the combination is Fruit Loops.
Well, it was right on. Unfortunately, that wasn't the beer that we were trying.
So you got the labels wrong again.
Yeah. We bombed out. I
think I got one on that.
Yeah. You were the only one who got one. Our new homebrewer friend Mitchell Jensen, who sent us the hops, joined us, and we all bombed out except for Chris got one of the samples correctly, and that was Zappa. Yeah. That's the one that tasted. It smelled delicious. It smelled like orange, but it tasted like Matt Giovannissi's grandmother's menthol ashtray. So,
that's a Mexicanus, right? So that one's going to be a little off the wall.
Well, yeah. Maybe in other applications, if you used it differently in a brew, it might come across differently. But in the hop sampler format, it didn't show well. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I made I said this beforehand, Scott. You referred to the Frank Zappa song reference that I made. Hardcore Zappa fans, if I don't have emails by the time that this runs, I'll be surprised. But we were talking about one Frank Zappa song referring to beer, and I quoted another Frank Zappa song that wasn't related to beer, but was related to the other topic of the beer that we, of the song that anyway, we're in the weeds. But if you're a Zappa fan and you know what I'm talking about, drop me a line because I know you're out there.
It went entirely over my head. 3 feet at least over my head.
Or maybe below your chin. That's probably more the reference. Not. Well, you told me, Adam, what I asked you. You said that this is like the cheapest beer that you've ever brewed, and you told me how much. What was how big of a batch? 10 barrels was this?
This is like 16.
Oh,
I got
okay.
Up to the top of my tank.
And you
so when I say I fermented this under pressure, the headspace was barely anything.
Yeah, and let's just take it as read that anytime you hear under pressure, just hear in your mind the sound effect.
I do. Don't worry, I do.
But you told me how much you pay. What the cost of the ingredients was for this, and I don't want you to say it because that's a proprietary thing. But I was astounded at how little this beer cost. But it is. I mean, if I were out on the porch on a hot day, I would drink this beer all day. I think it's very, very well crafted, and it seems like it would be right up the alley of a lot of people who come to your place, because you still sell American domestics there in your brew pub, right?
Yeah, we usually have one, and I list it on the online menu as whatever, and it rotates. It's the beer for picky drinkers. I haven't looked at the sales numbers since we tapped this. I'd be really curious if this has impacted those sales of those people who just absolutely refuse to. I'm going to guess it doesn't, because it's less. My theory is it's less the characteristics of the craft beer, and it's more the fact that it's not the thing that they know that they like and that they drink all the time. With that being said, if you come in and you order one of those someone else's beers, we have a rule with our staff to just give a sample of the closest equivalent beer. So we won some people over with our other house, American Pilsner. I'm sure we could win over a lot more with this one. And you're absolutely right. This goes down way too easy. I was actually last Saturday. I was on the rooftop of a place I'll talk about in the next beer I mention. It was like 90 some degrees in the sun, and it was a panel in front of a crowd of people, and we were talking about beer, and we had it on tap right in front of us, and the 3 pro brewers up there. Each of us went through at least 3 pints, and then the crowd was just going up, and we killed that keg in pretty short order on that hot day.
Chris, did you ever talk about what you think about this beer, or did I completely disrail you? I haven't.
I made a Fruit Loops joke.
Oh, that's
no,
right.
This is very clean, very crisp. I live in Texas, and so a lot of the year, and I'm a gardener. A lot of the year, Lone Star is in my fridge because I don't want, like a barrel-aged imperial stout when I've, just come out of the 105-degree heat. You want something. And, this is a good example of an American, light lager. I like it. And do you do a single fill on your fermenter? Like, is your hot side?
Yeah. We, I probably, if I had to do it over again, I would have made my brew house smaller and my tanks the same size, and then required double fills because, I don't use my full capacity most of the time.
What would you say, like, compare your system to a home brewer? Is there any aspect of it they wouldn't, know? Like, do you use mash filter? Is there, internal calandria or weird stuff
No, I like to say my setup is just a glorified homebrew setup. Single infusion mash, just false bottom. I did a fly sparge because I do that on almost all my beers. Yeah, nothing that I wouldn't think a homebrewer could pull off other than how well they could ferment under pressure.
I have a second cousin, Peter Osnus, who he's a brewer at Worth Brewing in Worth County, Iowa.
Yeah, I know them.
Yep. He literally brews, or maybe he's up, but he literally was brewing on a Sabco system for a while.
He's been on the show,
and he used to do double fills into I forget what the brand of ferment, but it was the homebrew one. It was like a 27. He would do because the Sabco is like 15 gallons on the hot side, and then he would double fill into a 30-gallon fermenter. And yeah, he was making a go of it because he was in Northwood, Iowa, and he was able to buy a building for the price of a VCR. And when you when you have that sort of thing, like yeah, you can as long as you're bringing in some money, not a lot's going up for other stuff.
Yeah, I've had some of their beers somewhat recently too, and it was good stuff. Unfortunately for me, it's like 4 hour drive still from here, and they don't distribute. Next time I head up to Minneapolis, I'll probably stop by though, because it is on the way for me.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question on the opposite side of that. For a beer like this, is there any advantage to you to brewing half the volume, say, like I think the Anheuser-Busch does, double gravity brews and then dilutes it afterwards, right, Chris? I mean, they brew stronger beers and then
They make about a 16 Plato beer, and they've dilute it down to about 11. So not quite half.
So, but
yeah, it's high gravity brewed. They
right.
They brew a concentrated beer, then they blend it with deaerated water to get it down to their finishing gravity.
So
by the way, I went on a tour a few years ago, and I asked them a question about that. I know it was a tour guide. They claim no, they don't do that at all. There's no adulteration after the fact, of course. But anyway. No, and I have done it before. I've done that just because the big guys did it. This was years ago, and I got to the point where like deaerating water, unless you have specific equipment, it gets kind of challenging. And it was just an extra step, and why bother? But maybe this would be a beer to do it, I would think, because you could doctor the water and really dial in that mouthfeel with the diluted water. And then just do a downstream. But for me, all my tanks are 15 barrels, kind of 16 if I really fill them. So, and the mash tun. So, one thing for that, there were so few grains in my mash tun that I wasn't sure I could get a proper, I could set the bed properly. So, yeah.
So,
I don't know if I want to go any smaller than that.
We are talking to homebrewers. Hopefully, our listeners still brew. So if homebrewers out there want to brew a beer like this, which is not infinitely, but it's certainly extremely drinkable, and it sounds in theory easy to make. What are the tips that you would give the homebrewers if you're brewing like 5 gallons of this as opposed to 15 barrels?
Really have your water chemistry dialed in, and your mash regimen. You want to mash higher than you think. Don't be afraid of mashing higher, especially when you start throwing in adjuncts. And then absolutely have a good yeast pitch. Know how to control your temperature. Go under pressure. You can, as a home brewer, get the little thing you hang up your corny keg.
The Spunding valve.
Yeah, I mean this is a beer for economy of scale though. Like I don't know if as a home brewer, if I wasn't a pro brewer right now, maybe I'd do it just to check it off my list. But then it's just like I'm gonna go back to wanting to do like the really fancy, not really fancy, but like the more flavorful lagers than something. I love that people love this beer. It's just it's probably easier to just go out and buy a 36 pack.
But you want to keep making it.
I do want to keep making it. I want people to keep making it. And
right
now I'm to the point where my house lager that I had on before is like, oh no, do I keep it on, or did this one just bump it off the list? So.
Well, as a business owner, this has to be entered into the equation. You just brewed this, very satisfying, basic American lager for cheap. Why would you brew, that next level up lager?
Yeah. No, you got to be as brewery owner, you gotta be okay with, killing your darlings, right? You can't keep them all around. And I've done it before. There's beers that I wish people would have liked better because I loved them. And then every once in a while I get someone who's been a customer for a while and they're like, "Hey, why don't you ever brew that beer anymore?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Well, this is
Well,
a disturbing trend, but is this a 16-ounce can?
yes.
Oh God. It's done. I got no more. I got no more of that beer.
I tell you, it
Yeah,
doesn't affect you though. It
I
this
killed
one
mine too.
this one's just basically it's water. I think this one probably hydrates you more than it does anything to you. It's a
What's your
I'm
recovery
working
beer.
on two separate cans, and I can't really tell the difference. I think
oh
I
Huh?
think I like the finish on yours just slightly better. Like there's um, it makes me think of a keg at a party, and if you get it nice and cold and fresh,
Hmm.
like it's delicious and it's great. I think yours holds just a little bit more beer flavor at the end with the dryness,
Okay.
but not yeah, but still like super refreshing.
I'm glad you tried them side by side. I still haven't got around to actually doing that because I that means me going out buying a second one of those cans. And I'm cheap. Uh, but they look the same. That was the thing. Mine, I didn't. So we used we don't have any kind of mechanical filter or centrifuge or anything. So this is clear just by I always forget the name of it. The silicon based clarifier, the vegan friendly clarifier, not gelatin or anything. Um, and
Biofine or something different.
Yeah, Biofine. Yep. And then there's also Brewer's Clarex. So this is gluten reduced.
oh
I'm confident in saying that this is going to be under 10 or 20 parts per million gluten too. So, and I don't think the big guys can make that claim.
nice.
I legally can't print it on the can that it's gluten free, but it is.
It's reduced, gluten
It's
reduced.
reduced. Crafted to be reduced, I think is the jargon I have to use.
Where do we go next?
We got the next Pilsner. So the 5 out of 5 stars, which is not an untapped reference.
I'm I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, so this one, the story on this one is there is an independent movie theater here in town, um, downtown Davenport, so not too far from the brewery, not too far from me. Um, been open a few years. They it's actually got opened by the one of the guys who wrote and I think produced A Quiet Place, the movie, and then he just Heretic is another pretty good movie under his belt. And then he had family here, so he moved back. Um, they opened last summer so they have 2 screens inside. They have an awesome bar. Like, it is actually, my wife and I go in to drink cocktails rather than see a movie most of the time. The bartenders are great. But on the roof, they added this rooftop bar with an outdoor screen. And now they're doing movies at least a couple times a week. And so they wanted a special beer for up on the rooftop. And so they approached us and knew that Austin and I were fans of their establishment. And so we got talking about what can we make uh, that's movie themed, movie tie-in. And first off, they wanted Swedish fish beer, which
Huh.
it wasn't for me, but we did it. We did dose a couple whole kegs with some Swedish fish, and they've had that beer up there. But the main beer was this beer where um, I threw out there, hey, you guys are known for your popcorn. Can we make a popcorn beer? And I've been reading about in one of the brewers magazines, there was an article about um, people brewing with popcorn. Um, I want to say Off Color in Chicago, which I adore that brewery. I love it so much. I had one of their beers that I think was with popcorn a couple years ago, and it was really good. I had no idea when I drank it that that's what they had done, but they mentioned it in the article. And so, yeah, I jumped on it. He gave the theater gave us, I think, like a 10-pound bag of popcorn kernels, and over the course of a week, we didn't want to use any oils into the popcorn. So they popped theirs in coconut oil. We didn't want to do that. So they were willing to give us popped popcorn, but we are like, just give us the kernels. Um, and over the course of a week, like GM Carrie, she brought in like her mom's air popper from the 70s, and it just ran continuously in the back. And staff were just feeding it, popping it. They go do their things. They kept feeding it, popping it, and we ended up with like two. I can't even remember if it was. I think it was like 2.5 50-gallon bags of popcorn, garbage bags. So Chris, Colby, that's another Simpsons reference to queue up for you. We did have garbage bags full of popcorn. So,
Nice.
in the sphere. And yeah, so then I designed around it this very much a Pilsner, and I'm gonna get it open here. The guys from the theater came out and helped us dump it in. There was a photo shoot and everything. I did. Well, I guess before I get into it, maybe give you all a chance to talk and me a chance to drink before I reveal the recipe.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I like this a lot better than the first one. Yeah, I mean, the first one was well crafted. And I haven't had a beer in 2 weeks, and so I was like really enjoying it. But then I had this one, and this actually tastes like a beer. I get a lot of grain. I didn't realize how much grain I was missing in the first one, but I get the flavor of the grain. I get some lemony stuff that I'm assuming is hops. It's got a more satisfying mouthfeel. Got a higher mouthfeel. It's really good. I don't know. I might be talked into, thinking that I'm tasting corn more. I don't know. You go first, Chris.
Yeah, this poured clear, but not as crystal clear as the other one. A little bit darker color, a little bit more mouthfeel, as James said, a little bit more of just sort of barley flavor. One thing I'm wondering is, like, I know that if you grow popcorn, it's some weird agro thing that I know, it takes less nitrogen input than growing normal corn. And so I'm wondering, like, what the nitrogen percentage is in corn, because corn is generally low, and then this should be even lower. And of course, my stupid brain brings up stuff like that doesn't matter. But yeah, just out of random curiosity. But yeah, no, this is another beer like the last one that if I was at a party and there was a keg of this, yeah, I'm going back.
Agreed. Yeah, I like that. There's more going on. I feel like I can get a little popcorn at the very end, on the finish.
So much of popcorn is the salt and the
And
coconut
butter.
oil and stuff, and then that's not there. But I think you can get a little corn. Oh, this had better foam too.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the popcorn in the finish because that's what everyone has said was like there's something on the finish. Even people I have some really rock star staff that I'll walk up to them and I'll say, "Here, taste this," and they're like, "Well, what is it?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it." So they taste it, and there's some of them where like, "What is that on the finish?" And I'm like, might be popcorn. I don't know. Um, when I designed the recipe, I did not account for the popcorn at all. So I just wanted to design like an American Pils. And this one's a little weird. About half the grist is American Pilsner. There is quite a bit of flaked corn. There's flaked rye. And then there's a little melanoidin. And then, Chris, you mentioned the nitrogen content. I was a little concerned about it, so I added some corn sugar. Because I've heard if you get too high on the fan, you need to balance that out with corn sugar. I'm not a chemist. What I said could have just been totally bonkers, but it's something I do, and I hit the numbers I expect. But the popcorn, so We're talking about 400-ish pounds of grain, 5 pounds of popcorn popped.
Hmm.
Um, I got, for whatever reason, maybe something else, I got about 3 more gravity points than I expected.
Hmm.
And I'm like, maybe that was the popcorn. Because my efficiency was standard for what I was expecting. And then um, what also could be that finishing flavor is I added a significant amount of Motueka hops. And that also, I think, my theory is why it's this. This is way hazier than I expected with this lager. And I've had this lager cold conditioning since May, I think. It just will not drop clear. So I took some of it and tried to use biofine. I tried to use gelatin. I could not get the beer to drop clear, and I had all the so the other a lot of the other pro brewers here in town we meet up regularly. We were all drinking the beer, trying to figure out why it's hazy, and there's some theories about popcorn. I think Motueka has like the haze stable compound in it.
Ah.
One of the other breweries in town that actually it's them and us that are we've kind of taken over the tap rail at the movie theater. Um, they were talking about the same thing. They had a beer, New Zealand Pilsner, and they could not get it clear, and it was Motueka hops. So I'm
Hmm.
like, I wonder if that isn't what got, because drives me nuts as a brewer that I can't make the beer look the way I want it to, and it is that is a very stable haze.
Yeah.
Untap, uh, it'll still pull hazy. It's not like you shook up the can.
Well, I think it's really good. I wonder if there, I mean, in the hot air popping process, there's got to be teeny tiny bit of toasting going on in there. Um, and we got to say that, when you use corn in your brewing, it's got to be gelatinized. The starches in the corn has to be gelatinized before those starches can be available for the enzymes in the mash. If I'm not, and Chris will surely correct me if I'm wrong, but one of those ways you can do that is to cook the corn. Another way is to flake the corn. Roll it under some rollers and create some heat that way, and then surely popping it using the heat of the popcorn popper would do the same thing as well. Were there any challenges to? It seems like whenever I accidentally get popcorn wet, it just shrivels up and goes away, except for the kernel.
Yeah.
Were there any challenges of using even that relatively small amount of popcorn in the process?
It's funny. The other pro brewers in town had said like they were did not want to use popcorn in the mash because they're afraid it would clog. Throwing it into the mash was super satisfying because it did kind of instantly dissolve. I threw it on top of the grain bed and it just kind of just kind of dissolved. No, runoff was awesome. I ran off smoother than I normally do. Off the mash tun into the kettle, and then cleanup was fine. There were no little kernels stuck anywhere. I thought for sure duds would end up in corners of the brew house, but no, it ended up really well. The only downside professionally to this beer is the non-stop. When you talk to another brewer and they say, "Hey, I made a popcorn beer," they go, and then they try it. Sorry, they didn't translate. They give you a really weird look, and then they try it, and then they
Audio medium.
right, and then they see this look of relief, and they're like, "Between you and me, Adam, I thought for sure you'd screwed up the diacetyl rest, and that's why you're calling this a popcorn beer." And I'm like, "No, that's not. I'm going to do that."
That's
And so I'm like, "No, it is." And I've heard all these stories since I've tapped this of people being like, "Oh, I had a popcorn beer once at this one brewery, and it was terrible. It was like just
Yeah.
kind of heavy and had this buttery flavor." And for me, where this is being served, they do make a ton of popcorn. They make an awesome like black walnut Manhattan cocktail, and butter is part of it for me because it's just so pervasive in the air at this bar. And so I was expecting people to be drinking this beer, and the theater would bring the butter.
Yeah.
in the air.
Ah,
Like I am not. So I made extra sure that this got like a really good diacetyl rest. I did the test afterwards where I heat up some of the finished beer and yeah, there's no diacetyl here.
Yeah, yeah,
Just brew
yeah.
with popcorn.
This is the 50th time I will have told this story on the show. But Bob Stimsky and I went to the Great Taste of the Midwest up in Madison many, many years ago, and one of the one of the brewers there had a buttered popcorn pilsner on tap, and it tasted like buttered popcorn. It's like, whoa. that
Did it have that mouthfeel? I mean, diacetyl at a certain level will affect mouthfeel too.
well,
Did it have that?
I mean, the thing I remember about it is it just tasted like, diacetyl. It just tasted like butter. And so, yeah, it wasn't. People around me were like, "Oh, it does taste like buttered popcorn." I was like, "Yeah, it does." So,
Ugh.
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I was at a brewery this year where every single beer they had on tap had a little bit of a popcorn
Oh,
flavor.
gosh.
That's the case for
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a problem.
that's a problem.
were you tempted to play with the salt at all, or was that not? You didn't want to go that direction.
If I were to ever make this again, I think I hear what you're saying. I would. And so they at the theater, they actually people love their popcorn, and it is really good. You can order it with different salt mixes. So they'll have like a cilantro lime salt that they'll
Ooh.
throw in. They have like some peppered salts. Um, that would be fun. With that being said, I don't know if I'll make this again because I feel so bad making the staff pop popcorn all week. I did not pop any of it, so I will give them full credit. But I would pop in every once in a while, like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" And they're over there looking at me with this crazy look and a giant bag of popcorn. And
When I was in graduate school, there was this lab that I would go to every once in a while, and I was learning about brewing at the time, and they had like this little from like Sigma Chemistry. They had it's like maybe a 5 milliliter bottle of reagent grade diacetyl, and here's the thing, there's a lot of hoods in the blah blah blah. If someone,
Meaning vent hoods,
yeah,
not shady people
honestly, my brain went
no,
straight to
yeah,
that.
yeah, a
wearing
vent hood where
wearing
you could do
hoodies
your-
and sunglasses,
you could do your
waiting in
work
the
and
corner.
whatever you opened up with the air would whisk out. Just telling you that if you were an idiot and were to open a tiny, tiny vial of reagent grade diacetyl in a room, like people within a couple seconds would be like, smells like popcorn. It's incredibly potent. You normally the amount of you get in beer is tiny, but it's still you taste it or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you had like pure diacetyl, that's just like if you didn't close the vial like within a couple seconds, you'd be driving people out of the room.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine it gets pretty diluted in the movie theater liquid popcorn, the butter. I had a harder time than I thought years ago when I was doing like a cheap off flavor kit. I was making my own. So I went out and I was looking for diacetyl as like, and it's where can you buy it? And found this little bottle of popcorn flavoring, and they listed the primary ingredient as diacetyl on the label. And I think in its concentrated form, it's like carcinogenic, and so they're
Yes.
trying to get away from it. But that must be very diluted because I don't know. I'm also very diacetyl blind normally. Like I have to get Austin and I have to get other staff members to help me with diacetyl rest because I'm like I just cannot. That's a blind spot for me. Super sensitive to other things. Diacetyl, not so much. It's gotta be hitting me over the head pretty hard before I know it's there.
Well, that was a delicious beer. I've been looking forward to sampling that, and I'm learning to pace myself a little better now, so that
Oh,
we
good,
can.
because you got four other beers.
Yeah, I know. and the second half of the flight is much much bigger than this first. Okay, so we move on. Shall we move on to Lunar Cat?
Yeah, why not?
What is Lunar Cat?
based?
So for years, a twin span, refused to make a American wheat with fruit because that seems to be the favorite style here in the Quad Cities. Multiple craft breweries have that as their best seller. Um, we have good friends over at Wait Brewing in Rock Island. They have a orange wheat, so their best seller. Um, there's a brewery up the road, Five Cities. They have a pineapple wheat. I was like, I don't need to do it. They're doing it. Why would I make the same thing they're making? Eventually, I was like, I should at least try it. I'm gonna I gotta try anything once. So I made what fruit is available? Peach. Peach hasn't been taken yet. Um, Instantly our bestseller. And so I was like, oh, come on. And so it is yeah, here in our hyper regional local area, people cannot get enough of a low alcohol fruited wheat. Um, I'll just come out with the recipe since it's super simple. It's half American pills, half American wheat, white wheat, a little bit of Munich malt, and then peaches and peach and a little bit of apricot. Um, why? So this was number six in the box I sent you, and I was really debating what to send you, and I'm like, I'll send you this one because we kind of have this theme, at least with Betterdorf, of like faster than you think turnaround.
Mm.
This beer was canned on day 5.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was because, in part, poor planning on my part. We had a big order for the Iowa State Fair. They wanted a bunch of this beer. And so I brewed it and I benched it against the other ones that had gotten more time. And so I know this was done quickly, but it was done correctly. Um, I'm blown away. And I want to hear, and hopefully James will edit it out if there's any like glaring young off flavors here. Because I was just like, there's no way. This can't be right. This beer can. Austin's like getting the canning line set up. And he's like, we got to produce it right now. And I'm like, no, it's only been 5 days. And here we are.
No, I've gone first on the first two, I think. So the only thing I want to say is the aroma is super fresh peach, and it's not like artificial peach candy or artificial peach flavoring. It smells like we like to get the peaches at Sam's Club that you get them in the little flat and you put them on the kitchen counter until they get a little squishy, and then you can eat them, and they're so juicy and they're so fresh. Not an advertisement for Sam's; they don't need it, but it's a super fresh fruit aroma. So I'll let you guys, Scott. You got your nose in the glass. Talk about what you're experiencing.
Yeah, I'm still smelling it. It smells so good. It smells like you picked up the peach and you know that it's ready now. Like
exactly.
It's ripe and it's ready to bite into. And when you said apricot, I could tell why. I think people say put some apricot in to help your peach flavor.
Mm.
And that makes total sense. But I wouldn't call out apricot, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I still haven't even tasted it because it just smells fantastic.
Yeah.
And a nice head and nice clarity. And did you say what the yeast was?
No, so and I'll interject this first before that. There are no real peaches in this beer.
What?
It's called finding a really good extract provider and not telling anyone who that is. I've made beers with real peaches that I've had transported. My father will go down to Missouri and he'll get during peach season. He'll bring some up, and I've added them to beers, and I throw them into like saisons and fun stuff. I am not kidding anyone here. This is soda. This is adult soda. So I'm like, for me, I'm going to go out and find a really good extract and use that. The yeast does a lot of the heavy lifting too. So I was using an English yeast, and then I switched over to using Conan. which is what we were talking before we started recording. Heady Topper. That's what they use.
Hmm.
Um, Conan, if you pitch it right, it is. I've had Austin taste the beer off the tank and go, "Okay, you ready to package this?" And I'm like, "I haven't added the peaches yet." And he goes, "Yeah, you have." I mean, it expresses so peachy. It really helps elevate, I think, the extract that we use. And then what I love about this beer and that yeast is that it's the same yeast we use in our house hazy, Edie yeast. And so I will schedule it so that this beer gets brewed with a low pitch of um, Conan. And then this beer is used to prop up that yeast for the hazy IPA.
Huh.
So this beer always gets brewed right before the hazy gets brewed, because that yeast goes tank to tank, um, and then is used to make that other beer.
Yeah, I mean the beer pours basically clear, not crystal clear, nice foam. Yeah, just overwhelming peach aroma on that. And I mean it's to me it's interesting because okay, it's very sweet. Normally I'm not like a big fan of sweet beers, but like Adam says, this is a like almost a soda pop, and it's nice that way. And I'm also thinking like when you add fruit to beer, you need to balance a couple things. You need the sweetness of the fruit. Uh, it's harder to recognize fruit when in a super dry beer. When if there's enough sugar to start, to at least rival the amount that's in the actual fruit, you start getting it more. But there's also the acidity, and this tastes to me like it is not like if it was more acidic, you would lose some of the peach flavor, and
Mm.
because peaches are not like it's super acidic. Uh, I mean, I think the pH balance in this is where it needs to be to like make the aroma just explode out of the glass.
Yeah, it's actually quite high on pH.
Hmm.
I make sure everything comes in under 4.6, because my theory and other brewers share the same thing. One of these days, FDA is going to care about that, and so it's shelf stable or food safe under 4.6. But otherwise, I don't acid adjust this beer. And then being it's so high in wheat, it does start fermentation pretty high. I want to say like 5.4 when I pitch yeast. Yeah, and it's the sweetness is going to be coming just from residual from fermentation because the extract isn't contributing to the sweetness.
The flavor is just as juicy peach as the aroma. I mean, it's not chemically at all. So whoever your extract manufacturer is doing a great job. It's not like an artificial candy kind of anything peach. You know, it just tastes like like there's like fresh peach juice in there.
I will say there's no secret contracts here. This is an extract homebrewers can get
Hmm.
uh, in homebrew size. Um,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
it's extracts. I don't know, and I'm in the same mindset where it used to be a really naughty word, and it still kind of is, especially with pro brewers. But realistically, it's like any pro brewer is going to tell you you can't get true consistency with an entirely agricultural product of fruit. Like you get enough beers in any brewer that makes a fruit beer. I bet they're all going to admit at some point that extract is part of the process.
Well, plus
Uh,
it's just you're just working with a certain amount of slurry, it's just you're going to make sacrifices in other areas.
yeah,
Whereas if you get someone who has used real fruit to make an extract, which I'm assuming that what your manufacturer did, then they've done the work ahead of time, and you don't have to worry about that.
I
That
thought Chris would like this beer the most because it had a cat on the label,
Yeah,
and it is
it's like
actually
a cat in a spacesuit. So yeah, I doubly like it.
it is named after a cat we used to have. And then we've since made. So this beer is so fun as a template. We have made a beer called Christmas Cat, and the artwork was sickeningly cute. Like it was a cat in a Santa suit, and people love that one. That was cranberry and orange. Um, and then we just recently, just this week, we ran out of our summer cat, which we do have a cat now called Summer. She's popped in on a few of these episodes before. She's not here right now. uh, so summer cat was strawberry guava, and then I have coming out soon for fall. Uh, Beer dedicated after our late cat Shadow. So it's gonna be Shadow Cat, and it's gonna be blackberry and lime.
Hmm.
It's just like I said, this beer by itself is got a little bit of peach, but then when you add the fruit, it's just a really fun template to build other fruit beers on top of.
If I saw peach wheat on the menu and I ordered this, like nailed it, like absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one, inarguably, from what I've seen, empiric evidence is that women are the primary drinkers of this beer. My wife, it's the favorite beer I make. She loves it.
Oh.
So there's usually some in our fridge. And then we go to festivals. Since we got the label art for this, that helps sell this beer. Having a cat in a spacesuit. Sex sells, but so do cats and outfits.
Nice.
And spacesuits. That's what
Yeah.
pulled me in.
Yeah. And my little text on the back of the label, the cat is searching the galaxy for the elusive red dot.
We had a dog who loved the red dot. Allie, our little corgi mix, loved the red dot. Whenever I would pull out the infrared thermometer to test my wort temperature when I was chilling, she was on it.
Yeah, our golden retriever loves it too, and he'll push out the cats to get to the red dot. But yeah, so we've got a whole cat thing, and for most part, I'm trying to sneak a cat somewhere into all of our labels. I'm looking at the labels I gave you today, and most of them don't, but a lot of our beers are starting to have cats sneaking somewhere in there. And Austin, my brewer and bartender sales guy, he's not anti-cat, but he's a dog person. And he's like, why don't we put dogs on there? And I'm like, every brewery has dogs. Man. Dogs. Spuds McKenzie, the dog in Lagunitas. There's a brewery in town. Their logo is a dog. I'm like, give cats a chance. Cats like
Cats are the future.
Give cats a chance.
yeah. Let them sniff the beer and then push it off the edge of the table.
Well, I've been pacing myself with these second two beers, and I'm glad I have, because there's a big second half coming up. So Adam, thanks very much for this flight. This is wonderful, and I'm really looking forward to the next time when we get back together and can sample the second half. Thanks to Adam and to Scott and to Chris for sampling along with me, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, cheers.
Yeah, when is that going to be?
2 weeks.
After break.
Yeah,
2 weeks, as far as you know.
as far as anyone knows.
Thanks again to Adam for sending the beers, and thanks to Scott and Chris for playing along. Next week, we go big. In the second round of beers, Adam shares twin span beers that are higher in gravity and took a bit more time to bring together. If you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com. And please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Check out our mobile-friendly shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody supporting us through our Patreon page. Special goodies coming your way. Check that out at patreon.com/basicbrewing. It's all until next time. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dodson. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay well and stay tuned. So long.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.